Okay, here you go, sweetheart. I'm not extra strong for you.
Hello, hello. Are you guys all ready to start? Welcome. Today we're going to spend the next hour. Today is Families Matter. It's our parent hour to hear voices of liaisons. And this is directed by the Family and Community Engagement Department today. So thank you to the FACE Department. Liaisons, in case you didn't know, are staff members, and they work at certain sites. A lot of them work at Title sites, but others work at sites that are not Title I. And their role is to connect families to the school site.
Family. Oh, family.
The main goal is to help families close the achievement gap. So liaisons are there to help families do whatever they need to do to get the resources they need to give their students what they need to do well in school. And today we're going to hear from 5 of them. We're really excited for that. I've put everybody on mute, and if you are going to speak, go ahead and hit the unmute button. We're going to ask if you have a question throughout the presentation that you put it in the chat. If you look at the bottom of your screen, there's a little option to hit chat. You can type in your question there. And then about the last 15 minutes, we'll have time for questions and answers. So with that, I want to introduce you to our community and neighborhood liaisons that will be speaking with us today. First, we have Veronica Allen, and she's a parent of a senior and a junior. She works at Grand Oaks Elementary. We also have Paula Anderson. She's a parent of a 5th grader and a junior. She works at Carriage Elementary. We have Matthew Taylor. He is a parent of 7 students ranging in grades from 2nd until 10th, and he works at Dyer Kelly. We have Tamika Ward. She's a parent of kinder twins and a 2nd grader. She works at Greer Elementary. We also have Molly West, a parent of a 5th grader and a freshman, and she works at Thomas Kelly Elementary. And I forgot to tell you, my name's Clarissa Alva, and I have 3 children in the district. I also work part-time at Thomas Edison and also for the FACE department. So with that, we'll start. Veronica will be the first parent. How is distance learning working for you as a parent as well as in your school community?
Good afternoon to everybody. As a parent, long distance learning is not meeting all the needs of my children. They need a special social and relational time as well. The lack of a structure from teachers make it difficult for us to provide the structure at home. My senior has been feeling down because of all the things that they have been planning for the graduation and the last things to do before graduating, and now that had not been happening. As a liaison, when I have talked to my families at my site, they said that they are struggling because they don't know what is expected. Some with multiple students in different grades and schools, it is hard to keep track of everything. My EL students struggle because all of the directions are in English. All the parents that I have talked to have mentioned the inconsistency of the system. Like some teachers have Zoom meetings every day, others once per week, others none. Some send the kids to study in Khan Academy, others just send busy work. I also have talked to teachers at my site, and many said that they have been spending more time preparing work, preparing the class, do the Zoom meetings, and also supporting the students. But it's not the same as it was done at the school. At the school, they had the different, the small groups, the reading according to the reading levels, math groups, and it's hard to do it over Zoom. Our special education teachers also, they rely on the parents for putting their kids on the Zoom meetings, but some of them, they have to work or they don't have the time. Many teachers have had only few students during each Zoom meeting. And finally, the long distance learning for parents are still being parents, and they had to continue working or doing housework and parenting, and is not working very well for all of us. The good part is that we have been spending together as a family and having fun, and we are on all this together, learning together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for that perspective. I think the struggle with structure really is difficult for many, and it's heartbreaking for those seniors that wanted to graduate and do all of those activities. All right, let's move on to Paula. Paula, can you share with us? We can't hear you, Paula. Did you unmute yourself?
Did that work?
Yep, thanks.
Perfect. Hello, everybody. For a parent perspective, for myself with my two students, distance learning has been a little difficult with my high schooler. Trying to get the support that he's needed in class and communication with the teachers is not as easy as it has been with the elementary school. Trying to get familiar with the programs that the elementary school and the high school are both using, and getting familiar with Google Classroom, not being super tech savvy, has been a bit of a challenge in trying to assist both of my students. I've noticed that some of my high school student teachers are more willing to do the Zoom and the extra time and respond to emails than others. My elementary school has been really great for my elementary child. I know some of my parents that I've spoken with have had issues with connective issues, not being able to get all the materials that they've needed, and having to research. Google's become a really good backup for everybody. So, Matthew?
Thank you, Paula. Just for those who've joined maybe a few minutes late, today it's Parent Hour, and we're listening to a panel of 5 liaisons that work at different schools. They also have children that represent kids from preschool all the way up to graduating seniors. So we're going to talk about a few things, how distance learning is affecting their families and their students. Hopefully, we're going to have directors and the superintendents, the assistant superintendent, listen in on this. We're recording it. And so this will be shared with them, and they'll have that perspective as they are planning. As of right now, we still don't know what's happening because of the COVID situation. And so today's hour is just a kind of shared discussion, and then we'll go from there. All right, Matthew, can you please share with us, how is distance learning working for you as a parent as well as in your school community?
Okay, as a parent, distance learning it works some of the time, but then half the time it doesn't. My kindergartner, he gets frustrated with his work. He doesn't really understand the computer program that they're using. It's new, so he's learning the program. And on a high school level, my high school students are they don't struggle, but the way they're being graded is frustrating to them. Like, they struggle and they do everything inside of a class just to get an NC, and it's like not like they weren't participating, so it frustrates them. They don't understand what the teachers want, and a lot of the time the curriculum isn't fully given to them to where they can do it, or they're told to research something and it's something that the school district blocks on the computer, so they can't research, they can't look it up. As a liaison, Paula and Veronica sort of covered a lot of it. It's a lot of the families learning these websites, some of the families learning how to use a computer and not really being sure on what they're doing. While some teachers have walked parents through it, not all teachers have walked parents through how to even, use Zoom or use whatever other, app they're using. So it's foreign to a lot of the parents, and the parents don't have the same education that the teachers have. So it's sort of hard to teach your child when you don't know exactly what the curriculum is.
Thank you so much for your perspective, Matthew. I think it's really important that we're all sharing today, because we see what's normal, and that we can always find that other parent that's struggling just like we are, but also having the same successes. Tamika, do you want to share with us?
Yes. Hello. So for me, online learning has been very stressful for us. I have 3 little ones in elementary school, and being able to try to maneuver for them and have them know how to use the apps and tools and have the motivation to be able to do it has been very hard for us. And I've seen a lot of tears over the last couple of weeks because of it. And I've just had to learn how to just say, it's okay, and let it go, because it's not really worth the stress. But as a liaison, I have talked to a lot of parents, and they felt the same way, that it's just been very overwhelming for a lot of us. There are parents that I've spoken to that are essential workers, and they are English learners as well too. So it's been very difficult for them to be able to have the time to sit down with their student, to be able to do the schoolwork, and then also as well to be able to understand how to maneuver through Google Classroom, how to be able to take a picture of an image and send it on, and it makes it very difficult for them. So it's been very hard for a lot of us. I think we all kind of agree the same way. It's been very stressful, and the teachers not having a consistent Zoom meetings all the time makes it even more difficult for the students to know that they're still in school.
Thanks so much, Tamika. And I'm really glad that you brought up that perspective of the essential workers, because they struggle. And if they're working, how do you help your kid at home at the same time? Molly, can you share your thoughts with us, please?
Hello, everyone. Yes, so every day is different in my household. Some days are rough, some days are good. What I have the main problem with is my kids being on track. They want to do it when they want to, and then they want help from me, and I necessarily can't always give them help. I also have an almost 3-year-old at home, so it's kind of hard having her calm while they get help, and actually being able to have them work around me, because the toddler kind of interrupts their work time. So I can't watch them, what they're doing. I check in on my 11-year-old. She's on YouTube when she should be working. So that's kind of a struggle, because they just do it when they want. As in school, the teacher's watching them and they stay focused. So they're missing out on a lot of like a schedule. And partly that's my fault, because I'm hard on keeping them on schedule. So it's just really difficult to just keep them on track. I think the Zoom meetings with teachers would be a lot better if there was more of them, because then they have to be in that meeting, and then they're getting taught by the teacher just as if they were in the classroom. My 11-year-old's scared to go on the Zoom meetings. She will not go, show her face, or talk. So that's another thing I have to try to fight her on. From my parents at my school and other schools that I've heard from, they have some of the same issues with their distant learning. There's also been some parents that work. I actually stay at home, so it's easier for me sometimes to help my kids. But for the parents that work, it's really hard to keep your kids on track, be at home, help them with schoolwork. Also, the families that are at home that are still working, it's hard because they have to work, plus be interrupted by their children when they need help or just, helping take care of them. I had a few comments from some parents that if the distance learning does continue next year, they would hope that we could get paperwork instead of doing so much online work. So it'd be easier to take track of. It's hard to keep track of all the different programs. All your kids are in different grades, all the teachers use different programs, then the parents have to learn those. I have an issue because I don't know where to find something. So my children will be like, yeah, that's not due. And then I get an email from the teacher, Bella's missing this and this. And I say, why don't you do that? Oh, I thought it was due next week. So I feel horrible that my student didn't turn in her work. So yeah, and then there's been some glitches with grading with teachers. And I have a parent that kid's a straight A student. He's now failing in the one class. So that's pretty tough.
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Molly, for that perspective. I think we all need to remember that we are learning this just like our students and just like the teachers are. So we all need to be really kind to ourselves. Remember that we're parents struggling through it. It's not our fault. It's no one's fault, but be kind to yourself. I see a lot of great comments in the chat, so keep those comments coming. We love to have your thoughts. So we are going to move on to our second question. And all of you that are participating today, I want you to think about this or maybe write your thoughts down, and then you can see how it is associated with our panel members. Question 2, what resources have been supportive with basic needs, academic support, and social emotional support? Veronica, would you like to start?
As a parent, my child needs extra support that was given at the school. We are home. We are following the school schedule from 9 to 3. But sometimes when the 4 of us, we have the meetings at the same time, it is hard to find a quiet place. And also we have been having trouble with submitting homework when it has been done and then shows that it's not to have done. For me personally, it has been overwhelming to see my children struggle and go down on themselves too when I have to explain them the feeling of loss and frustration. It has been hard for us not to be ourselves, to go to church and to have that community support. As a liaison, when I have talked to my parents at the school, they are very thankful for the Chromebooks, the support that they get with the Chromebooks, with the meals distribution, the bags of food from our community partners. I also know that at my school, the teachers have put more hours, counselors and resource teachers have been working with the students and families. Myself as an instructional assistant, I've been reaching out to students and families to help them log in into Zoom.
Oh, Veronica, you cut out. Are you there? Veronica. Okay, I think we're going to come back to Veronica. Because something happened with your mic, Veronica. So maybe you fix that. We'll come back to you. Paula, what resources have been supportive with basic needs, academic support, and social emotional support?
Some of the families that I've spoken with from the liaison perspective have been very grateful that the schools are still providing the 2 meals a day. It really helps out a lot of them. They've been extremely excited now since I think we're on 2 weeks now that they've also added the every other day hot meal into that also. It's been a nice change up for them. The families were very, very excited for the Chromebook distribution. Not all of our families have a enough computers at home when they've got more than one student. So that was really helpful to get at least that technology into their hands, so everybody has their own device to attend classes. The social and emotional support, our counselors at school have been really great. I know for me as a parent, my younger one has had a really hard time being separated from friends and the school activities and her teacher. Not having that day-to-day interaction with people outside of family has been very difficult. So our counselors have been really great to offer tips and tricks to try to help, you know, in our newsletters and on our Facebook page for our campus. So that's been very nice.
Thank you so much, Paula. We appreciate your perspective. For those of you joining us today, I just want to make sure that everybody knows about the lunch distribution that's happening across our district. It's at several schools. It's from 11:30 to 12:30 from Monday through Friday. Kids get a bag. It has lunch for that day and then breakfast for the following day. So if you need more information, you can just put a message in the chat, or you can visit the Face Department website, and there's information to connect you with that information. Paula, I think a lot of people are feeling the same way you are from their messages in the chat. A lot of our kids want to see their friends and connect, and they're just not getting that at home. All right, Matthew, you're up, sir. Can you tell us what resources have been supportive?
Okay, as a parent, the resources that have been supportive, although, you know, it's a love-hate relationship, is Zoom. Because where I have a lot of kids and they interact with each other, the teachers that Zoom with the kids, some of them allow the kids, you know, 2 or 3 minutes to interact with their friends online, so they're actually able to talk to them, they're able to see them. And so while it's not touching and it's not being there, it gives them a sense of interaction outside of their family. So that's really awesome. Every time I see it, like my second grader, she does that a lot. It's really good. She gets to talk to her friends. Changes her whole day up. The meals, that's a big one. My kids are still receiving the same counseling that they were receiving at school. My 2 boys in high school, they're receiving the same counseling. Counseling still helps them. My 8th grader is still receiving the same. So he was receiving reading support, and he was receiving math support. He's still receiving the same supports he was receiving while in school. It hasn't really dropped off for him. It's still the same. So they're still making an effort. From the liaison standpoint, a lot of the parents are still receiving their supports, but it's dependent on the situation, and it's heavily dependent on whether or not the parent understands how to utilize the resources. It wasn't really explained to everybody, and it's learning. So the resources are there, but not all parents know how, you know, to get the resources, and even explaining to some parents how to get them doesn't really work, because if I have no knowledge of something and you're trying to explain something to me that I don't understand, then you're going to walk away and I'm frustrated because I still don't understand. Right.
Awesome. Thank you, Matthew. And you know what? I just want to remind all of you that have joined us for this hour, please continue to put your thoughts in that chat so we can share them with district personnel. This is the first time this has happened for our district. We're all learning together, so it's really important to hear your voice. Tamika, go ahead and share with us your thoughts.
As a parent, I've received a lot of good support when it comes to the staff and admin. They called my girls for their birthday. They've sent postcards to the kids. So they're still definitely trying to reach out and make sure the kids still feel loved and supported. As a parent liaison, I know we've distributed food bags to our parents. We've gone through any donations we've had. We've distributed out the food to them.
Hello.
Our counselors are still reaching out to our students. Just trying to make sure they're still communicating with them and keeping them, you know, just in the loop, just talking to them. I know we've also organized a DJ Friday, so we're going to have a DJ come through and have a dance party with the kids tomorrow as well. So just trying to like just keep the kids active and just knowing that we're still here for them. So we've had a lot of good resources and support when it comes to that as a parent and as a parent liaison.
Thank you. And that DJ dance party's virtual, right?
Yes, of course, it's going to be on Zoom, and it's going to, my girls were already talking about it today. They're so excited, and they're like, we're going to go, we're going to dance. My teacher's going to be there. So they're so hyped up for it. So just doing things like that, having recess Zooms for the kids as well too. So just whatever we can so that they can still see their friends and, feel normal again.
Thanks. Molly, did you want to add?
Yes, so Google and YouTube, when it's used appropriately, has been a lot of help. The teachers, anytime I need help, I message them. They get back pretty quickly. If they can make my kids stay on track, that'd be amazing, but I know they can't. And also math has been really good for my freshmen because the teacher records the lesson so she could rewind it, go back as many times as she wants. So that's really helped her with the math. I wish they could do that with like every math class from here on out. And then with a lot of parents, I've been hearing special needs and kids with IEPs, they need support that they're not getting. I'm not too familiar with that, what support they need, but I feel for them. And hopefully if we have to do this next year, the district knows how to help those families.
Thank you for that perspective, Molly. And if you're joining us and you've had an experience maybe where you have a student that needs extra resources and you feel comfortable, add a little message in the chat how it's affecting you so we can share that out. I do want to go back to Veronica before we go to the next question. Veronica, did you have anything else to add since we lost you on your mic?
I agree with Molly with what she was saying about the students with IEPs and special education and our EL students. I know that the teachers are trying to do their best, but most of them, they need a special they need a structure that's as much as we want to do it at home, it's not possible when we have more kids at home. Social and emotional, when I have talked to my parents, I have heard their worry about if they are not working, their savings are going down. And some they had to go back to work, but they are worried that who do they leave the kids with? Also, in a social and emotional situation, when I talked to one of my EL students, she mentioned and she was so happy that she went back to the park one day, but she felt punished. And I asked her why. And she mentioned that she couldn't play. She wasn't allowed to play. So that was in that situation. That was sad to hear how the kids are feeling in this during the quarantine. Also, we had to remember that parents they have their struggles too, and many times with the students can feel that stress, and they can get the stress. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Veronica, for sharing that. Just a question to throw out to you joining us today. Have you talked to your kids about COVID and why they're not in school? Do they understand what's going on? What are their fears? So think about that as a parent. We're going to move on to our next question. What are your thoughts about school reopening? All right, those joining us today, think about this, write your thoughts, maybe add them to the chat. We'll start with Veronica. What are your thoughts about school reopening?
As a parent, I think that we should reopen the schools because my children need a structure, social interaction, academic support. Each child learns in different ways. As a liaison, many of my parents ask me about bridges because they depend on it when they have to go back to work. We know that many of our students are safer at the school than at home. At the school, the students get the support that they each need. Our EL students are exposed more to the language. Our special education students get the support that they need in their classrooms. Our kids that they get and their needs will be met. Regular students will learn in their ways and will be with peers and will have the social interaction that they need. They need to be
We lost you again, Veronica. All right. Paula, can you share with us what are your thoughts on school reopening?
Yeah, I really feel that it does need to reopen for a multitude of reasons, as do some of the parents that I have spoken with. There are a lot of students that are falling through the cracks that are still having technical difficulties with the um, distance learning aspect of things. They are not comfortable with the computers. They don't understand the apps and programs that are being used. Basic things like handwriting, a lot of the parents are noticing just now, after 2 months of being on the computer nonstop, the students aren't in class to do handwriting anymore on regular assignments. Everything's being done digitally. The handwriting on the students is suffering. Their social skills are backsliding. It just is, they need that structure and that environment to learn how to interact and deal with day-to-day problems and have the immediate assistance that they need to just get through their schoolwork.
Thank you, Paula. For those that are joining us this hour, if you missed the beginning, we're here talking about distance learning with 5 liaisons that work throughout the district. If you have questions, we want to hear those. After our 4 questions, we're going to have a time for questions and answers. We're asking that you all put your questions in the chat and hopefully we'll get to them. If we're not able to get to that question within the hour today, we'll be able to address it maybe through an email or a conversation through the FACE department, which is Family and Community Engagement. So we're going to move on right now to Matthew. And the question that we're asking is, what are your thoughts on school reopening?
Okay, my thoughts on school reopening are simple. I mean, my kids need to go back to school. It's what's best for them. I do worry about whether or not it's going to be too early and whether or not it's actually safe. Whether or not it's going to be a clean environment for them. That's like my biggest issue, because in my household, if one of us gets sick, it flows all the way through and everybody gets sick. So it's a worry about my kids getting sick, but I have an understanding of what they're missing out by not being in school. And I know that more from being in school than being at home. And no matter how much support they receive for distance learning, it's never going to amount to actually being in school and school learning. It's not going to amount to them being around their friends. It's not going to amount to them standing in front of their teacher, or sitting in front of their teacher and the interaction they have in the classroom. So it's like, for me, 75, 80% important that they go back to school. But the other 30%, it outweighs it because it's their safety. And I would just want to make sure that everything's safe when they let the kids back. And that's what a lot of the parents are feeling, is they want their kids in school. They know their kids need school, but the biggest fear is that school is going to open up. There's going to be a huge sweep of another pandemic just from the kids going back to school. And so if there was a way of making sure that that was not going to happen or minimizing the risks, that's what would work for most families.
Thank you, Matthew, for sharing that. And I think that is a concern that a lot of you have, viewing some of the messages you're putting up in the chat. We want our kids to go back to school, but is it safe? Tamika, why don't you share with us your thoughts on school reopening?
I kind of feel similar. I go back and forth. I want my kids to go back to school because they're driving me nuts. Let's just be honest here, but at the same time, is it really worth their health and their safety? I really question on within the guidelines and recommendations on if all those things are going to be able to be put in place safely enough that our kids are going to be able to utilize it and go back to school that it's going to be still school and not be something else, that they're not able to touch things or interact with each other or can't go in the cafeteria or what have you. So I worry, but at the same time, as a parent liaison as well, I know that our children need to go back to school, that they need to have that interaction, need to have that structure, because they are not learning from us parents. Like, as a parent, I feel like a substitute teacher sometimes, and my kids just don't learn from me as they learn from their teacher. And I feel like they just need to have that structure. And so I know a lot of the parents that I've spoken to want to go back to school, but at the same time, they always say, but I want to make sure my kids are safe.
Thank you for that perspective. And one common theme I hear is we as parents aren't feeling that we're qualified to be the teachers. But I do want to address that you are your child's first teacher, and you guys are all doing much better than you probably think you're doing. So keep up the good work, parents. Molly, can you share with us?
I agree with all the other liaisons. I do want my children to go back to school next fall, of course, if it's safe. But I was reading the CDC guidelines on what they think that they'll have them do. If they wear a mask all day, I don't think I would send them back to school. I just don't see how they could function all day. And I hope that they would be able to interact with their classmates and not kind of just be like spaced out and not able to talk to their friends, play on the playground. I think that we could just make it into a way where it's safe for everyone. Teach kids how to wash their hands really good before and after recess. Lunch couldn't probably all be the same grades in the same lunchroom anymore. Maybe have to divide that up. I actually gave a poll on a community Facebook page, and I wanted to ask like what other parents thought about school opening back up. 157 people said yes, 9 no, unsure 9, depends on the condition 17, stay at distance learning 36, hybrid half day and half school day 39. So and then I also heard from a coworker that Elk Grove 41% said they don't want to go back. So then I was thinking, if so many don't want to go back, could we do the distant learning for some? And then for the ones that want to go back, go back. So then we could have smaller classrooms, because I don't see how we even have smaller classrooms with the same amount of students coming back to the school.
Those are great questions, Molly, to ask, and maybe we need to think about that as a district. And I'm grateful that the district is taking the time to listen to these thoughts today from the panel, but also read through the chat today so they can really understand the needs of our families and what our families are wanting for our students. At the end of the presentation today, we'll put a screen up for a survey that the district is asking all parents to answer so they can get more of your thoughts as they proceed to plan. So be on the lookout for that at the end of our hour. Veronica, did you want to add anything to this, or should we move on?
I thought that my mic was on. So to reopen, I think that yes, we should open because they need that is given at the school. They need the social interaction too, and their needs will be met individually.
Great, thank you so much for that. All right. We are going to move on to our last question. Question 4. What are some challenges and successes with the new distance learning model? It seems like we've heard a lot of challenges already, but let's maybe focus on some successes that we're having. And those of you that have joined us, please continue to put your thoughts and your questions in the chat. So we'll start with you, Veronica. What are some challenges, but more importantly, what are some successes that you're having with this new distance learning model?
The successes has been that we have been spending more time as a family. We have been cooking more, gaining weight together too. We have been learning together. We are on all of this together, and sometimes, like Tamika said, we had to just sit down, take a breath, and just go through it, and we had to hope for a better tomorrow. Teachers, parents, and students, we are learning, and but it has been a good time to spend together more time. And
Thank you, Veronica. Reading through some of your messages in the chat, it seems like some people are struggling a lot with the computers and are wanting paper and pencil. They feel comfortable with that. So maybe if you are having success with that, or a hybrid model of computer and paper and pencil, you can put what's working in the chat so other families can see that. Paula, can you share with us what are some challenges, but more importantly, what are the successes with the new distance learning model?
Well, we've had a lot of the challenges already. Some of the successes is actually being able to take a more hands-on approach with my younger student. We've been able to incorporate math and reading into different aspects of our day-to-day with learning. We're learning how to do the bread baking from scratch, not using the bread machine, but actually measuring out all of the ingredients and making sure everything matches up. Getting them out and having more freedom for art has been nice. We've done a lot of outdoor artwork. I've seen a lot of that on our school's Facebook page and other parents with the outdoor artwork. So getting creative with some stuff to get them off of the computer screen for, their free time, which is what they were used to doing, computer screen stuff for free time after being in school all day. Well, now school all day is on the computer screen, so trying to be creative with other aspects has been challenging but fun. So I would consider that a success.
Thank you so much, Paula, for that. I really like how you guys are focusing on things, and when we do things with our families, we're still teaching our children. I mean, think about the elements of academic learning that go into baking. There's chemistry, there's math, nature around us, the science, the reading together. That's all really awesome. Thank you for sharing. Matthew.
Okay, so the things that have been successful for my family is definitely the amount of time that we spend with each other. We normally spend a lot of time traveling to school. So we waste probably a fourth of the day down there just in traveling and transportation. So that 6 hours have been spent with each other more now. And it's not just me and the kids, it's me, them, and their mom. So it's awesome. We have a lot more time with each other to talk. We have family meetings now, which is something that we haven't had in like forever. So, I mean, that works. Being able to interact with them while they're doing their work compared to them being at school, actually seeing what they're learning from the standpoint of some of it learning it as they're learning it because the way they're being taught. So that it sort of validates with them what they're being taught when they can explain to their parent how this goes, because as a parent we know, and sometimes kids need to be able to explain something to us just for their self-esteem level. So they get a boost when they can explain to me how like they're being taught math now, because it's not the same way I was taught math. It's completely different. The benefit of being in the house compared to being outside, they're not as worried as they were when like a lot of this started. We watch a lot of world news, so my kids were a little aware. So my kids were stressed out about going to school at one point because they were scared of what could happen. So them being at home for this amount of time, they're ready to go back to school, and they've sort of gotten over the fear of it, but they're still aware of it. So it was just more of a family process for us. Our family was sort of drifting apart, and we're a little better as a family now.
That's wonderful to hear. I want to remind all of you that have joined us today that the FACE department, which is Family and Community Engagement, is collaborating with other departments in the district to provide more opportunities for parent voice. We want your voice, and it is necessary as we learn how to navigate this distance learning. So please, please, please continue to add your thoughts into the chat. What's working for you, what's not working for you. I really liked how Matthew shared what's working really well in his family and how they're growing together and learning together. Maybe if you guys have any thoughts or experiences, what happens with our families that maybe don't have a good family structure or their home isn't a safe or happy place to be? Do you guys have any experiences or know families that are struggling with this? And how is distance learning affecting the students when they're in homes that are not ideal? Tamika, we're going to move on to you. Can you share with us what are some challenges, but more importantly, successes with the new distance learning model?
For us, I mean, the same challenges I think everybody's had: technology, space, having room for them to be able to have their own space to be able to learn. But I think most importantly, like, our successes have really been being able to spend time with each other. I have learned ways to calm my children down when I'm starting to see them stressed out, or the triggers that they're getting anxiety over their schoolwork or missing their friends and stuff. So it's really helped me to be able to really just get to know my kids even more so. So I think that's probably been the best part about it. And of course, our health. I mean, like, I can't say anything yet better than that, is that my kids, my family is healthy. So that's been the best success of it all.
Thanks, Tamika. Health is so important. So I hope you all are doing what you need to do to keep your families healthy. Some of the comments in the chat have been for our teenagers, especially, they're getting more sleep, which when my teenager gets more sleep, it definitely improves our family. And in turn, I hope the academics. But all right, Molly, please share with us your thoughts.
So my challenges are keeping the kids on task, waking up before noon, just doing their work when I ask them to. It's more of I want to do it when I want to, and I don't like that because I like it when I'm available and can help them. The successes are getting out more, riding bikes, seeing nature, basically because there's nothing open for us to do. So it only gives us the options of doing things outside, which is really good to do. So going to the river, going on hikes has been really nice. And with school in session, we don't always have that much time, and weekends are busy with parties and events and stuff. So it's been nice to have like nothing to do.
Thanks, Molly. I want to go back to Veronica. Veronica, did you have anything to add?
With the successes that, yes,
I'd like to
been learning
talk.
together, as parents and teachers. So we had to take one and hope for the best. I hope that we can go back to some normalcy for the sake of our students, that they need their contact and social interaction with their friends. So because they are kids for just a little bit, and then they will be adults forever. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. So now we are going to open it up for questions and answers. There have been lots and lots of wonderful comments in the chat, but we want to see if you have any specific questions for our panel members while they're here. So I'm going to go over to Vanessa, who works in the FACE department, and see if she has a specific question for our panel members. Vanessa, are you there?
Thank you, Clarissa. Again, thank you all so much. There's a lot of great comments, describing your guys' experiences and just, recommendations and things that you guys would like to see, hopefully implemented for the next academic school year. So right now we are encouraging folks to submit their questions through. We have some folks who asked from Mr. McCrory, Jay McCrory, that when might we know what the plan for the fall is going to be in terms of distance learning, in terms of kind of what the academic school is going to look like?
So I don't think we have that information at this time, Vanessa, but I think that information from today's chat and the panel members will definitely be able to guide the district in helping us come up with a good, positive plan that will benefit all of our kids and their academic learning. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. We had another question in regards to if there's a possibility of in-person classes for those classes with labs, for example, sciences and some electives with the distance learning model.
So, you know, Veronica has 2 kids in high school, and I'm sure that they've had some labs. So, Veronica, are you willing to address this question and maybe say what your thoughts are? How would labs be difficult from home?
Specifically, my son, he is in the engineering program at his high school, and he had a project to build a.
Oh no, we can't hear you again. I think Veronica might like just to come up on the screen 2 times instead of 1. Maybe she'll fix that. Paula, have you had an experience with your high school student doing labs?
No, we haven't had any labs. The closest thing he'd have to something like that would be in culinary. And basically the teachers just asked them to really document what they've been doing in the kitchen with the culinary recipes and creating and using this time in the kitchen for them to get creative and expand. So it's kind of hard not knowing what everybody has access to at home for labs and things like that. So it's kind of, yeah, just do the best with what you've got.
And that's a great point, because what's affecting our personal family might not be affecting having the same effect for the family down the street, because we don't know what they have access to, what their financial situation is, what the parent work situation is. So all of these things have to really be thought about. Thank you so much for sharing that. Vanessa, do we have another question?
Yeah, we have a really great question that if we do distance learning again next year, will programs like Bridges and Discovery Club be open for parents who work?
That is a fabulous question, and I think it's on the minds of a lot because more and more people are starting to go back to work. Do we have an answer to this? I'm not so sure yet, but we're going to ask everyone to continue to be patient and fluid and have compassion as we are trying to navigate the situation. I do know that the district is working so hard to try to come up with different scenarios and different supports for our students. So you and your voice is super important. Please share what kind of support you need to help your students succeed so the district can help our students succeed, because I know that that's their goal. Vanessa, we just have maybe 2 more minutes left. Is there one more question that we could share today?
Yeah, so there's a really great question that I think some of our liaisons can speak on based on their experiences. Have teachers been working directly with parents at all, or has it been mostly with their students?
That's a great question, and you know, I'm sure it varies. So let's hear from all of our liaisons on this last question. Let's start with Molly.
Of course, when I missed the question, could you repeat it, please?
So have your teachers been working with you as a parent or just the student?
They've been working with me. I actually asked if my daughter could, or asked my freshman's teachers if there's any way she could raise her grades. I thought it would be a perfect time right now. And they actually gave her the option to do that, do old work assignments that she missed.
So I love that flexibility, and that's really beneficial for the student. So thanks for sharing that. Tamika, can you share with us?
Yes, the teachers are working both with me and the students. All of my kids have Zoom meetings with their teachers But I have had personal conversations with all of the teachers if I needed the help on questions on how to maneuver on Google Classroom, Zoom meetings, small group meetings. So the teachers have been very helpful.
Thank you so much, Tamika. I want to remind all of you listening today that the FACE department, that's Family and Community Engagement, is here to help you. So if you don't know how to access your teacher and to ask questions, please reach out to the FACE department so we can get you connected to that teacher, because we want you to be able to connect with the teachers if you need to help your student. Matthew, can you share with us your experience regarding teachers reaching out to parents?
Yeah, so on the elementary school level, the teachers are really helpful when it comes to reaching out, letting me know what's happening. If my daughter is not staying on focus when she's on her Chromebook, the teacher messages me and, Mr. Taylor, your daughter is not on assignment. Can you go check on her? Like, they'll let me know. The high school level, some of the teachers check in, but not all of them do. And some of them are really hard to get in contact with. But the ones that do message me and they message the kids, like my kids, they're really into it and they're very supportive. If I have questions, they answer not just my kids' questions, but my questions as well. So if I don't understand something, the teachers that actually message the kids back, they'll message me and they'll explain it to me to where, like, if I don't understand something, some of this stuff has been explained to me to where now I know because the teacher actually walked me through it. So I get a 50-50. It's like a love-hate relationship with the support, as far as it goes with the teachers, because some of them do, some of them don't.
Well, Matthew, it sounds like you have a love-hate relationship with a lot. Zoom,
Yeah.
with your kids.
Yeah.
I do need to clarify, I misspoke briefly. If you can't get a hold of your teacher, please first go to your principal, and then if the principal can't give you that help, then go to the FACE department. We want to follow those proper channels. Veronica, and then we'll go to Paula.
My school teachers, it has been 50-50, like Matthew said. Some they have been willing to communicate, others no. So it has been a struggle too, sometimes. But the teachers at the school at Grand Oaks, they have been working, yes, and so depends the teacher.
Thank you. And Paula.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Matthew. As far as my high school level student goes, it's been a 50-50. I've got a couple of those teachers that are really engaged and will, respond to the questions and get him the help. And then the other ones, it is what it is. The elementary level has been great. The teachers have been very easy to get a hold of. The information has been very easy to relay. It's been a lot easier on the elementary school level, I think, though, overall than with the high school.
Thank you, Paula. So right now, I want to take a minute just to share my screen with you. On here, we have our FACE website where you can find some more information about the latest workshop topics, and possibly we'll have another one of these panels, because I think it was so great to hear all of the input that we had and see your messages in the chat. We want your voice, and that was one of the reasons that the FACE department did this panel today. So there is a new distance learning survey out. So if you've not received that in your email and filled it out, please visit this site and go on and share your thoughts and your feelings, because we really need that information from you so the district can serve our students. And please continue to place your thoughts and your comments in the chat. But right now, we're going to give just a couple minutes to Mr. Trent Allen from the Communication Department. I think he's an assistant superintendent, and he'd like to address us. So thank you, Trent.
Thanks, Clarissa, and hi, everybody. I'm Trent Allen, if you don't know me. I'm actually a senior director, as much as I'd love to be an assistant superintendent. Thanks for the promotion, Clarissa.
You're welcome.
But I did want to say thank you to the panelists, Matthew, Tamika, Molly, Paula. You guys did a great job. Thanks for sharing your expertise and the experiences you've had. I know it's not been an easy time for anybody, and it's been a learning opportunity for all of us. So it's been great to hear the experiences you've had with your students as well as your teachers in your school. So thanks for sharing that with all of us today. And then, of course, to the staff who've helped out, Vanessa and Benita and Lisa, Leslie, I saw you on here too. And of course, Clarissa, you did a great job facilitating today. So thanks for all of that. Some of the questions that were asked, I know Clarissa was adamant that the district is kind of working on the answers. And I want you to know that she's absolutely right. We are definitely working on the answers. And as your conversation has shown today, the answers are not simple ones. Nothing with this has been simple. So I want you to know that first and foremost, safety is indeed what we are paying the most attention to. So a lot of that is changing information as we continue to understand more about COVID, more about how things spread, more about how it affects different groups of people. We're working with all the health officials to understand that, really how that may impact our schools and our community. So that is primarily our first and biggest concern. So we're using all of that information, which continues to change. And then right now, it is really about that process of gathering input so that we can come out with the best plans possible for next school year. And as we look at forward to next school year, we go into it recognizing that there are going to be many different families with many different needs. There will be some who absolutely are ready for that back to school 5 days a week, 6 hours a day. That's the format they're going to want, they're going to need. For other families, the distance learning or a hybrid model is going to be a better model. So we're hearing that, we know that. We're looking at how we might be able to provide to the greatest degree possible, as many options as we can for as many families as possible. And that includes those support services that go along with that. So the childcare, the nutritional services, and the food service, all those pieces that help make our students successful every day in school. We know those are important pieces too. So that's also part of that conversation that we're really looking to try and make sure that we can adapt to the degree possible with the restrictions that are going to be in place. We know class sizes are probably going to have to look a little bit smaller, that we're going to have to do some social distancing of some sort on campuses. So that's going to really change how we interact on campus, assuming that we're on a campus. So we're looking at all those. And we know there's some urgencies of the conversation as well. One of the questions that was asked is, when might we know some of the answers? And that is something that we're working very hard towards. We hope to be able to have answers sometime in early to mid-June, because we know families want to make plans. If we are going to have multiple options for people to be able to choose from that might fit their needs a little bit differently, we want to be able to give people time to understand what those are, be able to choose those for their family. So we're working hard to make those decisions as early as we can, knowing that we need to have the latest safety information so that we may have to continually make some changes and modifications even once we make some decisions. But that's really the process we're working out, is bring in as much input as we can now so we fully understand the needs that are there, get the ideas and suggestions on how we can meet those needs, and then come out with the best plans possible, knowing that we're going to have to be adaptable and change as circumstances change. So again, I want to thank you all for joining us today, for the panel, for sharing the wisdom and thoughts. And again, please encourage everybody to take part in that survey. The thought exchange at the end of the survey is a great opportunity for you just to share your ideas on what might work and those hopes and dreams for what next year might look like. So I'd encourage you to take advantage of that as well at the end of the survey.
We had a question, Trent, for you. If parents have multiple children, should they be filling out a survey for each child?
Yes, and that's been a popular question. And as a matter of fact, the introductory page for the survey is going to change today to make it clear that if you have multiple children who've had very different experiences, you are more than welcome to take the survey more than once, up to one time per child, because we want that input to be reflected on that survey response as well. So absolutely, if you have more than one child and you want to reflect that experience as being different for those different students, please feel free to take that survey more than one time.
Thank you so much, Trent. All right, our parent hour has ended. Please continue to place your comments in the chat. Make sure you fill out that survey. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you as parents working hard to support your students. Thank you all so much. You can visit the San Juan website and go under Family Matters. This has been recorded. You can see what people have said, share it out with others, and get more information for future panels. Thank you all and have a great afternoon.